before the world carved his name into stone, before history bent to his will. There was a boy, not yet a king, not yet a conqueror, but already chosen by fate. This is not just a story of war. It is the story of a soul, tested by gods, broken by betrayal, and reborn through fire. This is the rise of Alexander, the man who would weep when there were no more worlds to conquer, the man who would leave behind legends and ghosts. But this time, you won't just watch him, you will become him. You will see through his eyes, feel the weight of his crown, bleed in his battles, burn with his ambition, and tremble in the silence of his victories. This is no ordinary tale. This is the journey of a boy who dared to become a god among men. Prepare yourself. Act 1. The boy who would be king. You open your eyes. The sun pierces through the cracks of your chamber. The cold marble beneath you reminds you. You are not a child of comfort, but of conquest. You are Alexander, son of Philip of Macedon. A boy born not into peace, but into a storm of ambition. At night, you dream of empires, of chariots thundering over Persian soil, of your name whispered in temples long after your bones are dust. Even as a boy, you knew your father is a giant, not in size, but in presence. Philip does not teach you gentleness. He teaches you war. You must be more than Macedonian, my son. You must be the world. He tells you stories of Achilles, of gods who bled like men, and men who ruled like gods. And you believe him when he says, "You are not like the others." You watch him build alliances and crush enemies. He drinks with kings and plans like generals. He is flawed. But greatness is carved in your blood, even before your first sword is drawn. You are 12 when you meet Bucephalus, the black horse no man can tame. He bucks, he thrashes, soldiers laugh. But you notice something they don't. He fears his own shadow. So you turn him toward the sun. The laughter stops. You ride. You own him. Philip watches, stunned. Macedonia is too small for you, my son. Seek a world to match your strength. Your legend begins, not with war, but with understanding. If you're enjoying this so far, make sure to hit that subscribe button. I drop deep content like this every week, and trust me, it only gets better from here. At 13, you study under Aristotle. He does not teach you how to fight, but how to think. He says, "He who conquers himself is greater than he who conquers 1,000 enemies." You listen, but not always. You are fire. He is water. Still, you absorb every word, philosophy, rhetoric, medicine, stars. Even now you remember his voice. Ask not what is, but what could be. You are 16 when your father leaves you in charge of Macedon. Enemies rise, you crush them. You found your first city, Alexandropolis. You are not a boy anymore. You are a shadow of what's coming. At night you lie beneath the stars. You ask yourself, will they remember my name? But a voice inside you already knows. They will not just remember it. They will build cities in it. They will fear it, worship it, whisper it into the bones of time. Because you are not a prince. You are Alexander. And this is only the beginning. End of Act 1. The boy who would be king. Greatness is not given to the born, but to the boy who dares to chase it before he becomes a man. Act 2. The weight of the crown. You are 17. Your father is dead, murdered during a celebration. No warning, no farewell, just a dagger in the shadows. And a kingdom in your hands. You are still a boy, but now you are king. The whispers start immediately. He's too young. He won't last a season. He'll die in the mud. You don't respond, you ride. They rise against you before your father's ashes grow cold. Thebes, Athens, Sparta. They test you, thinking you'll hesitate. You don't. You march south with iron in your heart. And when Thebes dares to stand, you crush it. Level the city. Spare nothing. Let the world know. The boy is king, and the king does not flinch. They begin to see you. The generals who once doubted you now kneel. You speak to your men like brothers, but lead like fire. You are not just soldiers. You are my companions, and I will lead you into eternity. They believe you, because they've seen you bleed beside them, because you speak not of plunder, but of legacy. You are no longer Philip's son. You are Alexander of Macedon, and your eyes now turn east, toward Persia. The advisors beg you to wait. Secure your throne, they say. Persia is too vast, they warn. You silence them with one look. When the gods hand you the world, you do not ask for permission. You assemble 30,000 men. You tell them, we march not for gold, but for glory, for memory, for a world where our names outlive our bones. You do not march as a boy. You march as destiny wrapped in flesh. You cross the Hellespont into Asia Minor. You kneel before the tomb of Achilles and whisper, you had your Homer. I will write my own epic with blood. The men behind you cheer. But inside, you feel something heavier than steel, the weight of every man who has ever wanted more, and you carry it gladly, because you are Alexander, and the world is next. End of Act 2. The Weight of the Crown. A crown is not made of gold. It is made of silence, scars, and the blood of unbelievers. Act 3. Gods, love, and legacy. The battlefield sleeps. Your sword rests beside you, caked in blood. But tonight there is no enemy, only silence and questions. You stare at the fire and wonder, is this how Achilles felt the night before Troy burned? He was more than your general. He was your shadow, the only one who ever saw you. Not as a king, but as a man. You trained together, bled together. You trusted him like no other. He once asked you, if you conquer the world, what then? You didn't have an answer. They throw themselves at you. Daughters of kings, foreign queens, priestesses with eyes like daggers. You could have them all, and you often do. But there's always distance. You are touched, but not held, admired, but never understood. You remember the Persian woman whose hands trembled as she poured your wine, not from fear, but from some unspoken truth. Even gods need warmth, she said. You wanted to believe her, but gods don't get to rest. You remember Aristotle's voice. The unexamined life is not worth living, but your life is examined daily by spies, scribes, statues. The world sees your image, but no one sees you. You ride into every city like a god, yet inside you ask, if I stopped conquering, would I still matter? You look around your tent, maps, gold, scrolls. None of it feels real. Only the next battle does. You wander the camp alone, past the dying fires, past the snoring bodies of men who would die for you. You find a quiet ridge overlooking the valley, and you whisper, am I creating something eternal, or am I just afraid to be forgotten? A hawk cries above. The sun rises slow, and in that silence you decide, I will give the world my name, and they will never again speak of a king. without remembering me. Because you are Alexander, and love will come after legacy. The land cracks beneath your march. The Macedonian phalanx is a wall of death. Your banners pierce the sky. You do not ride to visit. You ride to claim. The Persian satraps wait at the river. Cocky, unaware. You charge first, sword drawn, against the advice of your generals. The river is deep. The banks are slippery. You don't care. Your blade finds Persian flesh. You kill nobles yourself. Your men watch you bleed, and they fight like gods. The battle ends. You've won. The East begins to whisper your name. They call you Liberator. They offer olive branches, cheers, poems, but you see it clearly. I am not a liberator. I am a storm with a crown. Still, you show mercy, for now. You leave statues. You rename cities. You begin to write your name in stone. Darius III brings an army twice your size. The men are nervous. You speak to them the night before. We are outnumbered, yes, but not outwilled, and the gods do not count heads. They weigh hearts. At dawn, you attack with surgical rage. Your cavalry splits the Persian left. You flank, fast and brutal. In the chaos, you aim for Darius himself. He flees, a king fleeing another king. Never again will I fear a throne I can chase from horseback. The world watches, stunned. You are no longer a Macedonian king. You are now the man who chased Persia's god-king into the dirt. Egypt opens to you, like a lover. No resistance. They make you a god-king, son of Amun-Ra. They call you divine. You build Alexandria by the sea, a city of philosophy, commerce, immortality. You stand before the oracle of Siwa, deep in the desert. The priests whisper, "You are the son of Zeus." You never confirm it. But deep inside, a voice says, "Maybe I am, because you are Alexander, and love will come after legacy." End of Act 3. Gods, love and legacy. To conquer the world is easy when your heart is too lonely to resist it. Quick pause before we get into the next chapter. If you're still watching, you're clearly built different. Tap that sub button and let's keep building. Act 4. The world kneels. The deserts stretch endlessly before you, but so does your ambition. Behind you, thousands of men, sunburnt and battle-scarred. Before you, the last great empire. They say Persia cannot be conquered, but you ride with gods in your lungs and fire in your blood. You are no longer Alexander the Prince. You are Alexander the Inevitable. Darius returns, this time with 300,000 men. You have 47,000. But numbers mean nothing to you now. You spend days studying the terrain, the enemy's flanks, the psychology of fear. On the day of battle, your men look to you. You raise your sword and say, "This is the world's heart." And today, we cut it open. You feint left. You break right. Your wedge splits the Persian front like bone under steel. You find Darius again. And again he flees. This time for the last time. The Persian Empire is yours, from Macedon to Babylon. The world now kneels. You enter Babylon not as a conqueror, but as a living legend. Towers bow to your flag, rivers carry your name, gold pours in, but you feel none of it. You stare at your bloodied armor and ask yourself, if no one can stop me, then who will I become? Because you are Alexander, and victory is beginning to taste like madness. End of Act 4. The world kneels. When every throne bows to you, the only enemy left is yourself. Act 5. The cracks in the crown. The halls echo. The maps are stained with blood. The names of fallen kings lie beneath your feet. You've won, but you don't feel it. Victory is loud, but peace is quiet, too quiet. Parmenion, your most trusted general, a father to your army, accused of treason, his son caught in whispers of assassination. You hesitate, but hesitation is weakness. You execute them both. Your hand does not shake, but your chest feels heavy for days. Your men don't question you, but they watch you differently now. You feel it. The silence after command, the respect without warmth. The pain does not come from blades. It comes from death. Hephaestion is dead. A fever. Sudden. Cruel. You arrive too late. You scream. You tear your clothes. You refuse to eat for days. You order temples built in his name. You burn down a healer's house in rage. The one who knew me is gone. You never recover. Something inside you dies with him. Wine floods your table. Strangers praise your name. But in your eyes, they're all shadows. You begin to question your own men. You push old friends away. You stare into the fire and see enemies in the flame. What do they love? Me, or the empire I carry on my shoulders? You barely recognize yourself. The boy who tamed Bucephalus is gone. The king is still here, but the man, you're not sure anymore. I have conquered the known world, but I cannot conquer time, nor loss, nor the loneliness of the gods. Because you are Alexander. And now, you begin to wonder if you were ever a man at all. End of Act 5. The cracks in the crown. Even gods weep in silence when no one is left to remember the boy beneath the armor. Act 6. The final march. You've reached the edge of the world. The land is wild. The rivers boil. The elephants wear armor. The people fight like they have something you've forgotten. Home. You look around the tent. No friends, no family, only armor. Maps, silence. You cough blood into your hand. You wipe it on your tunic, but you keep marching. The storm is endless, but so are you. You cross the river at night, unheard, unseen. King Porus waits on the other side with war elephants. Your men are terrified, so you ride first, screaming, sword raised, rain, blood, screams, thunder. You fight beside your men. Again, Porus kneels. You let him live. A king knows another king, even if they bleed from different gods. They're tired. They've buried brothers in every language. One night they refuse to march. They love you, but they're broken. You walk among them, silent. You nod. Then we return. You feel something break in you. The conquest was never about land. It was about proving you could. And now it ends. You are 32. You've seen more than any man should. But you are tired. Your body shakes with fever. Doctors whisper. Priests burn herbs. You stare at the ceiling, unable to move, unable to speak. You hear them ask, "To whom does the empire go?" Your lips move, barely. To the strongest, you feel your breath slowing. You remember your horse, your mother's voice, Hephaestion's laughter, your father's hand on your shoulder, the sun rising over a bloody battlefield. You wonder, was it enough? And then, with one final breath, you become history. They say you died too young, but they never say you stopped living. You carved a path across continents. You planted cities. You broke empires. You became a myth while you were still alive. And in death, you became eternal. Because you are, and will always be, Alexander the Great. End of Act 6. The final march. Legends die. But myths are remembered by the wind, the stone, and the silence of those who still whisper their names. You walked in the footsteps of Alexander the Great, but he wasn't the only one who rose from nothing to challenge the world. Next up, a slave who became a symbol of rebellion. Subscribe now and witness the rise of Spartacus.